Hello and welcome to episode 4 or 5 potentially of this podcast. Yeah, I don't know what number it is. I did just look it up, but it's gone out of my mind now already. Another exciting weekend of football. Lots of things going on. Red cards for managers and players alike. VAR causing all sorts of chaos. And Mike Dean's in the middle of another Tottenham scandal. So yeah, it's all fun and games, but it started off quite pleasantly for Arsenal, didn't it, Mike?
Oh yes, 3 o'clock on Saturday. We had Leicester come to us. I've got to be honest, it was a game I was a little bit apprehensive about. I didn't know how we would tackle that one because it's a fixture, I think, certainly in recent years. I know we've come out on top of things, but they have proved a bit of a challenge for us. But yeah, 4-2 winners, 2 goals from our Lord and Saviour, Jesus.
Should have had a hat-trick.
Martinet, yeah, it should have had a hat-trick. But it was a bit unlucky with a couple of the shots. Some good saves. Martinelli got 1 goal and Granit Xhaka got the other. I think it was an unlikely scorer, but a goal very well taken. He was given kind of a bit of freedom on Saturday, which was quite weird because there was a couple of times he popped up in goal scoring position, so quite early on in the game, hit the post, and then obviously slotted his chance away for his goal. What was actually really good to see was the fact that when we did concede, unlucky first goal from Saliba heading it back past Ramsdale. It was a brilliant header. One of these ones I'd actually be taking my shirt off and running halfway up the pitch for. But, yeah, so we bounced straight back. I think we conceded the goal. 2 minutes later, we scored. And then conceded the second one. A brilliant goal from Maddison. And again, I think it was like a minute to 2 minutes. Restored the lead again. So a brilliant performance all round, I think. Was on the ropes for like the first 5-10 minutes. But something's clicking, mate. Something's finally clicking at Arsenal. I don't want to get too excited, but yes.
By the time you get to the World Cup and all your players get injured, I mean,
yeah. Well, hopefully we would have got enough points.
I think it's what we were saying the whole of last season. That bit of experience of losing and not wanting to lose games. Arsenal have found that little bit of fire, that little bit of resilience, that little bit of experience with some of the players you've brought in on how to just get over the line, which is good. And have you been watching Arsenal then and now, or whatever it's called?
All or nothing.
All or nothing. Yes. Then or now, same thing.
Yes, mate. It is absolutely brilliant. And to be honest, I think it's opened up a lot of the Arteta out brigade.
Yes.
There's a couple of people that have actually come out and said, or shown a previous tweet and gone, after watching this document, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but it's been a massive eye-opener where you think that Arteta doesn't know the club, some of the poor run of form that we've been on, the fact he's gone in and absolutely hammered these players. There was one episode I was watching last week. He said he come off and he was like, coming to the dressing room afterwards, he said, I don't even want to tell you what I want to say. And then just walked out. And I was just like, whoa, shit.
Can we all just get in a circle for a minute and rub our hands?
Not that one. No, not that one.
But if you haven't watched it already, we'll put a link in the description. You get a free trial from Amazon Prime. 30 days. Don't have to keep it, but yeah, why not? Have a watch. It's very interesting, even from a neutral perspective. It's nice to see what goes on behind the big club, so to speak. But yeah, so was there any VAR controversy in your game?
Yes. Well, there wasn't VAR controversy, but there was certainly a VAR decision which definitely went in our favour, which was quite nice. There was a penalty shout for a foul. I can't remember who it was, but got taken out inverted commas by Ramsdale, and went to VAR, and the decision was overturned. And you could see the delight on the players from the decision being overturned. And it was actually nice, as I said, being on the receiving end of a decision for VAR where it's gone in our favour, because normally it goes against us for a silly red card or something like that. But I think Leicester were coming back into the game at that point, and I think with the decision being overturned, that was a massive favour for us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense. So what I've figured out, what I've noticed is the VAR controversies and the refereeing controversies are all around that sort of the senior referees who have been around for quite a while, and that they're the ones that are being the problems. The new blood in and sort of the newer referees that are not as seen as prestigious a referee are actually getting the decisions right and turning it over. I mean, in the West Ham one, we did get a correct handball given. They looked at it for a very, very long time. We got a goal disallowed for Michael Antonio running into somebody
that
who didn't
bullshit.
move out of the way, and it was like, that's not a foul. I'm sorry, that's not a foul. But I mean, Declan Rice had the worst game of his life. Missed a penalty, but he was just giving the ball away, and I think he was trying to force it too much, which was a problem. We had a goal, a free kick hit the post and dropped down. We hit the post. We had a goal line save. We had a defender kick it off the line. It was one of those days. It doesn't matter how long the game went on, we weren't going to score. Doesn't matter how close we got. But that being said, the refereeing did not help. It was a poor referee. I know they want to keep the game a bit more physical, but what they gave Declan Rice a yellow card for, 30 seconds later they did exactly the same thing. There wasn't even a foul blown up. So there is still that little bit of inconsistency. But again, senior referee. But yeah, let's move on from that. I mean, Jesse Lingard got some fake money thrown at him, and yeah, that made everyone else happy. So it's all well and good. We did see both Tottenham and Chelsea managers get sent off for a little bit of argy-bargy at the end. It's a little bit of entertainment. Was it a red? I don't think so. Apparently they were already on yellows, and it was like, but he didn't produce a second yellow card, just produce a straight red, and it's just like, oh, come on. The game's over. Just go on. Off you go. Apparently Tottenham are going to appeal it, which would be quite interesting. But yeah, it's a very strange thing. Tuchel was flexing his biceps in the post-match press conference just to add to it, which I thought was funny. But again, 2 goals from Tottenham that shouldn't have stood. One that was an offside, and the other there was a foul in the lead up to it, where they got the corner they scored from, where Romero pulled Cucurella down by the hair, slammed him into the floor right in front of the ref. He didn't see it. VAR didn't pick it up, and that's where what's his name is. Who's a senior VAR bloke now?
Mike Dean.
Mike Dean, that's it. I couldn't remember his name. His name went. I wanted to say Howard Webb, but he's been gone a long time. But he was the VAR, and he didn't pick it up and say that should have been a red. And they're saying it won't be retrospective action because they've already looked at it. Well, if they've already looked at it, there needs to be some retrospective action on the VAR and on the referee. I'm sorry, but
I can't believe that, because I remember they're actually saying, oh yeah, they're checking for violent conduct. Yes. If that's not violent conduct, I don't know what the fuck is.
No,
excuse my language, but that was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and say he should have been a red card. Chelsea should have got the free kick, which would have kicked the ball at the other end of the game. So yeah, I think Tuchel is. He's being investigated for his comments about the referee should never be allowed to referee there again. I don't think he should be allowed to referee anywhere ever again, if I'm honest. And I think if we made a petition, there wouldn't be a single person who signed it to say, no, that's not fair, because he's absolutely a pile of shit. Yeah, that's that, I suppose. Let's talk about Manchester City. They run riot at Bournemouth 4-0, and people are saying, but Haaland only had 8 touches. So I did watch a bit of the match. He had 3 players marking him at points. He still got an assist, and Foden should have played him through twice. He did put one away, luckily, but the other one got saved. Where if he'd played it across, like they have been for the whole time that Pep's been in there for Manchester City, they would have had 6. Or 5, because he did score 1. But yeah, I don't think he was as terrible. I think what's happened is Bournemouth have gone, hang on, if we don't shut this guy down, he's going to bully us. So they've shut him down, which has opened up all the room for all the rest of the midfielders to run through, which is the perfect plan for Pep, I think, and Manchester City. And I think he's one of those, if they go man for man, they will beat people because their players are phenomenal. If they mark one player, the others will find the space and take advantage of it. And I know you're having a good season, but I don't think you're going to have a better season than Manchester City. I have to say
No,
that.
I completely agree, mate. We'll fall off the rails soon enough. I mean, looking at the next 5 fixtures that we've got some fairly winnable games. We've got Bournemouth up next.
Yep.
My prediction for that will obviously, or my preview for that will be up later on this week. But yeah, I think we've got Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Man United. Just I would say a load of chaff at the moment, which is good for us because I think if we can build a bit of momentum when we come to start playing some of the big teams, now obviously including Manchester United in that, but the way they're playing at the moment, they can hit a barn door.
Yep.
So I think we're hitting them possibly at the right time for us. But obviously, we've still got a couple of weeks left of the transfer market to go. They may end up getting a couple of signings through the door, which end up transforming their team. But as it stands at the moment, I think they'd struggle even against the likes of Norwich and Fulham and stuff like that. You know, I mean, Fulham with the result they had against Liverpool, I wouldn't be surprised if Fulham go to United and get a win out of that one.
I think Fulham depends on what mood Mitrovic is in, because he missed a penalty and he was almost doing everything to get sent off last week, or this weekend just gone, and it's like that's a different player that turned up at Liverpool. But I think we should move on to Liverpool. Obviously, Darwin Núñez, their big striker, who Klopp's saying, everyone's judged him too quickly and it's not fair. I don't think anyone's judged him. I think the only things I've heard is good things about him. But he did get sent off for headbutting another player. Second game in his Liverpool career, and he's already been sent off.
Straight red as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's good for everybody else, I suppose, because statistically, he's a top striker. But I've been saying for a long time that now they've got rid of Mane, Salah won't have as good a season because all the other players will be wanting individual brilliance, which is what saved them and got them the goal, was a bit of individual brilliance. He had plenty of opportunity to pass to about 6 players, I think, if you look at the replay. 6 open players. He didn't want to pass to any of them. And that's what is going to be their downfall. They've had a bit of a dodgy start, and they're not going to end up being relegated like Manchester United. But I don't think they're going to challenge as much as what people think they will. They might get it the other side of the World Cup and have a phenomenal second half of the season. But I think to start off with, they're gonna be on dodgy ground.
Yeah, and I think that's going to play into a lot of the teams' pre-match preparation as well, because it's obvious. I mean, you called it towards the back end of last season when we were going through the not the back end of last season, during the pre-season stuff. Obviously, when Mane was going, you called it there and then, and I think we should even go back to it at the end of this season and look at your predictions last week and just see how spot on that they were. But yeah, sorry, just going back to the pre-match build-up for teams, they can see now who the key people are that you need to close down. Because I'm going to be honest, the defence looks a pile of crap at the moment as well.
Yep.
But they are the sort of team that give it a couple of weeks, they might end up turning around or turning their form around, or they will turn their form around. Let's be honest. Just because they lose one player doesn't mean that they instantly turn shit, because they have got a lot of quality in their team, but they just need to gel quickly.
Yeah, and I think the thing is now is everyone knows Darwin Núñez has got a temper. Go and wind him up.
Yep, 100%.
He's going to be a target, and he's got to learn to control that temper very, very quickly. And then very quickly, Manchester United. We didn't put Ten Hag in the running for being the first manager sacked, but they've lost 4-0. They next go to play Liverpool, and I do think this is one of the games Liverpool will win, because Manchester United are lazy. They got outrun by Brentford, obviously lost 4-0, got outrun 13.8 kilometres, which Ten Hag had them all in and made them run 13.8 kilometres to match it. And I think there's the key man, Ronaldo, wants out. Everyone knows he wants out. why are you playing him? What, he doesn't want to be there. Like, okay, go, off you go. We'll tear up your contract. You go and find one elsewhere. But yeah, they've got to take a leaf out of Arsenal's book, I think, and admit some of their transfer mistakes and get rid of players.
Yep.
I know people go, "Oh, Harry Maguire, he's lacking confidence." He's not. He's a mid-table defender. He can't run. I mean, they bought in Martinez for 56 million, and he took him off.
That's because he was getting absolutely bullied, though. If you look at, I mean, the one of the things that come out in the last few days about Martinez was a few people questioning the signing before the transfer was completed, basically saying he hasn't got the height, he hasn't got the physicality to cope with strikers in the Premier League. And if I'm being completely honest, because obviously we were heavily linked with him before he sealed his fate to Manchester United, I think we've dodged the bullet there massively.
I having watched some of his stuff when he was at Ajax, I think he's a brilliant ball-playing defender, and he needs to play in a free. If you had Varane and, you say, Maguire next to him, Maguire's very best to take on the defenders and then pass the ball to him to be able to distribute, sort of that CDM sort of floater cover. I think he would do all right, but as a one-on-one, he's too small, I think. There is time to prove us all wrong, but he's not going to be given much time, I don't think. But Ten Hag's brought in a number of other players as well, not huge names, but they brought in a left back. He's not playing him. Well, why have you bought him if you're not going to play him? I know some players might go, "Oh, actually, in training they've outperformed him," but on the pitch they haven't. So drop him. He said the whole team ignored all of his instructions and couldn't think on their feet. I would drop every single one of those players for next week. And if you get beat 15-0 by Liverpool because you've played the under-19s team, it sends a message. I'm not mucking about here. You listen to me and you do what I've asked you to do. But
that could also come down to the toxicity in the dressing room as well.
Yes.
If you have got players that aren't going to be there, I mean, we've seen it previously with David Luiz at Chelsea and I suppose to some extent at Arsenal. As soon as you start losing the dressing room, it's very, very hard to recover. And I think you make a great shout there of Ten Hag possibly being the first one gone.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily his own fault. There is a toxic club at there. It wasn't made better by Rangnick. I think it was actually compounded by him. So to turn that around is going to be difficult. I mean, they've got there has been a lot of changes at Manchester United in its structure. I mean, Gary Neville's still not happy with some of the appointments and things like that. And he goes into it a bit more depth in his own sort of monologue and with his argument with Jamie Carragher. No, Jamie Carragher, Jamie Redknapp. But he is right. The stadium isn't what it needs to be. The fans have been moaning that they're being dripped on when it rains and things like that. It's rusty, that it's old, that it's not fit for purpose anymore. And they haven't updated it since they took over. And the managers before that, or the owners before that, hadn't done anything to it, hadn't put any maintenance in it for a number of years. So it is getting older. It is an older structure, and maybe it does need a little bit of TLC. But they need to adjust their focus, I think, because what I think is the problem is that they're used to winning everything all the time. And because of that, now they're not winning everything all the time and they're struggling a little bit. It is a problem for them. So what I think they need is a few seasons just to compound, get rid of the shite, and get people who want to play. I mean, as we've said for ages, if you're outrunning your opponents, but you lose because you're the worst team on the day, a bit like West Ham against Nottingham Forest, it's disheartening, but you can accept it. It's just one of those days. It doesn't happen. Manchester United aren't running, they aren't putting in the effort, and they're losing. So that makes it just as bad. And I think once the Old Trafford crowd turns, that he ain't going to win them back.
Yep.
It's very difficult.
Completely agree.
But yeah, so I think maybe we need to get onto some predictions. We predicted 3 games last week, which was West Ham, Nottingham, Arsenal, Leicester, and Chelsea, Tottenham. So what were the predictions and the results?
Okie dokie. So the predictions were, as you said, Arsenal versus Leicester, and West Ham versus Nottingham Forest. Sorry, my screen's being stupid. There we go. So you had 2-1 to Arsenal. Obviously, we know the score was 4-2. So correct result for you. So
Yep.
point each, and I went for 3-1. And at one point it was 3-1. I was like, woohoo! So it's just a point each.
Yep.
For the West Ham game, you had 3-0 to West Ham. I had 2-1 to West Ham, and we know the score was 1-0 to Forest. So no points for either of us.
Yep.
In the Chelsea-Tottenham game, just to touch on that very quickly, I thought Chelsea started absolutely brilliantly. But yes, I do agree with you. They were a little bit hard done by. You had 3-1 to Tottenham, and I had 2-2.
She's taking the lead.
I've taken an early lead. So the scores overall for this week, 4 points for me and 2 for you. And if we go to the totals, Ian, you are now currently on 4 points, and I am on 6. No, 8. No. Yeah, I'm on 6.
6.
Yeah.
There's still time. I was behind for a long time last season. I'm the current trophy holder, even though I don't have the trophy. Not that I'm going to push that, but it is what it is. So, that being said, we have 2 games this week.
Yes.
And I don't know what they are, so... It's good when every weekend's a surprise because you don't know what team your actual team is playing. But if
Arsenal travel to Bournemouth, that's on Saturday at 5:00, or 5:30, whatever the kickoff is, and the second one is
West Ham,
obviously.
So if you haven't already, then make your predictions for these games in the comments section on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe as well, and if we can get some guesses from obviously people in the thing, we'll make a little tally for you guys as well.
The audience against us. Yeah, exactly. So our Brighton travel to you on Sunday at 2:00.
Brighton. Oh, okay, interesting.
Okay, so we'll start off with the Bournemouth Arsenal game. Just very quickly, Arsenal are on a bit of a run at the moment. Obviously, we've put 2 really impressive results together so far. This is another game I think we will win against obviously newly promoted Bournemouth. I think this could be a bit of a tonking. I'm going to go for 4-0 Arsenal.
In fairness, 4-0 pops in my head straight away. I've not really got anything to add. I'm going to go 3-0.
Okay.
And then West Ham host Brighton?
Yes.
So West Ham host Brighton. Brighton doing relatively well. West Ham not quite kicked on yet. Had 2 hard games. Nottingham Forest was an occasion for the Forest team, and they stepped up. But we were the better team. We just couldn't make it work. I think it's time. Obviously, Cornet will probably play. I think Samaka will play. It needs to. Hopefully, we have another central defender because Ben Johnson's doing very well. But we need someone that is their preferred position, and is very, very strong there. So I'm going to go for Brighton, a bit of a bogey team, aren't I? I'm going to go 2-2.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a hard start for us, but 2-2 for West Ham and Brighton.
I don't know where to sit with this one because obviously, as you mentioned, from looking at how Brighton have played over the last couple of fixtures, I think they've done really well. I am going to go for. I'm going to go 2-1 to Brighton on this one. Sorry to be a bit of a knob there, but yeah, just from what I've seen of Brighton so far, I think they've looked really, really good. And this may be the catalyst for you to start kicking on. Obviously, I'd love to be proved wrong and see West Ham doing well going forwards, but I think this may be the game where you go, shit, we need to start picking up some points.
Yep. No, I think you might be right. But say, let us know what your predictions are for those games in the comments section over on YouTube. I don't think there's anything else to add necessarily from this week. There's lots to talk about, but not a lot extra. So until then, I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
And we will see you next week.
Thanks very much.